Dr. Scratch and Sniff?
Get these kids out of here!
Hello, nurse.
Remember when Warner Brothers unleashed 3 chaotic siblings from a water tower and changed animation forever?
It's time for Animaniacs.
Animaniacs wasn't just zany, it was brilliantly subversive. Today, we're counting down 20 mind-blowing facts about the show that made adults laugh harder than kids. Good night, everybody.
Why don't you cute little kids follow me?
20. The Spielberg stamp of approval. Steven Spielberg didn't just slap his name on Animaniacs for credibility. He actively participated in production meetings, reviewed scripts, and pushed for edgier humor. His involvement gave the writers freedom to sneak in adult jokes that network executives might have squashed otherwise. Spielberg's protection turned the show into a creative playground where anything could happen. 19. The mystery species debate. What exactly are Yakko, Wakko, and Dot? The show deliberately never answered this question. Scripts described them as cartoon characters from the 1930s, and creators intentionally kept their species ambiguous. Some production notes called them dogs, others suggested cats, but the official stance remained purposefully vague. This ambiguity became part of their charm and endless fan speculation. 18. Wakko's Beatles inspiration. Wakko Warner's voice wasn't random. It was a direct homage to Ringo Starr. Voice actor Jess Harnell specifically channeled the Beatles drummer's Liverpool accent for the character. The connection runs deeper.
We win, we get to do a walk-on Baywatch.
Wakko's lovable goofiness and musical talent mirror Ringo's personality. It's a perfect Easter egg for parents watching alongside their kids who'd catch the reference immediately. 17. The educational loophole. Fox Kids had strict rules about educational content in children's programming. Animaniacs brilliantly exploited this with songs like Yakko's World and Wakko's America.
United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Republic Dominican.
These segments satisfied regulatory requirements while being genuinely entertaining.
Trenton's in New Jersey, north of Jefferson, Missouri. You got Richmond in Virginia, South Dakota has...
The writers turned mandatory education into viral musical moments that kids actually memorized. Genius regulatory compliance disguised as pure entertainment gold. 16. Rita and Runt's abandoned arc. Rita and Runt were originally planned for much longer story arcs throughout multiple seasons. However, their segments proved expensive to produce and didn't test as well with younger audiences.
Who travels incognito with a friend?
By season 2, their appearances dropped dramatically. The singing cat and dim-witted dog deserved better, but production realities and focus group data sealed their fate early. 15. Pinky's surprising voice. Origin. Rob Paulson based Pinky's voice on a combination of British comedian Larry Grayson and various Monty Python characters. That high-pitched, cheerful British accent wasn't scripted initially. Paulson improvised it during auditions. The voice perfectly captured Pinky's optimistic idiocy, and producers immediately knew they'd found something special.
Oh, I know. You're always trying to work out how to take over the world.
One improvised choice defined an iconic character for generations. 14. The fingerprints, continuity error. Here's a detail that bothers animation nerds. The Warner siblings' fingerprints. Early model sheets showed them with 4 fingers, standard for cartoons. But promotional art and some episodes gave them 5 fingers. This inconsistency persisted throughout the series run, with animators never settling on a unified design. It's the kind of chaos that somehow feels perfectly on brand. 13. Slappy Squirrel's real-world inspiration. Slappy Squirrel was directly inspired by classic Hollywood veterans who'd survived the studio system's golden age. Her bitter, seen-it-all attitude reflected real animators who'd worked through animation's evolution.
Doing that owl thing again, Skippy.
I am not Aunt Slappy, I'm telling you who.
Writers channeled their own industry veterans' war stories into Slappy's flashbacks. She wasn't just funny, she was a walking tribute to animation history's forgotten warriors and survivors. 12. The Censored Fingerprints episode. The Fingerprints sketch pushed boundaries so hard that it got heavily edited after initial airings. The segment featured innuendo-laden dialogue about a prince who was just a finger.
I found prints! No, fingerprints.
Network standards eventually deemed certain lines too suggestive for daytime broadcast. Later airings and home video releases used the sanitized version, making original broadcasts collector's items. 11. Dot's cuteness as weaponized feminism. Dot Warner's cute shtick was deliberately subversive. Writers crafted her as a parody of female cartoon characters who existed solely as eye candy. She'd call herself cute.
Please with whipped cream and a cherry on top.
Whoa, man! You're working your cuteness on me, man!
Then immediately weaponize it or mock anyone who objectified her. This meta-commentary on gender representation in animation flew over kids' heads, but resonated with adult viewers recognizing the satire. 10. The Buddy Erasure. Before Yakko, Wakko, and Dot, there was Buddy, a generic, unfunny cartoon chicken who was Animaniacs' original star. Test audiences hated him so intensely that producers scrapped him entirely after just one pilot appearance.
Well, it was unusual. It wasn't the typical Buddy cartoon.
The show itself later mocked Buddy in episode 65, making his failure canonical. Rarely does a show so brutally acknowledge its own false start. 9. Maurice LaMarche's Orson Welles mastery. The Brain's voice is a spot-on Orson Welles impression, performed brilliantly by Maurice LaMarche.
Start paddling, Pinky. We must reach the lab before tomorrow night.
LaMarche studied Welles obsessively, nailing the legendary director's cadence, tone, and dramatic pauses. The character became a 22-minute tribute to Welles's genius and ego. LaMarche's dedication turned what could have been a simple impression into a defining vocal performance for an entire generation. 8. The adult jokes that snuck through. Animaniacs became infamous for jokes that sailed past network censors but landed perfectly with adults. References to existentialism, classic film noir, and suggestive wordplay filled episodes. The fingerprints versus fingerprints gag in one episode is basically an anatomy lesson disguised as innocent confusion. Writers played censors like fiddles, creating a show with two distinct audience layers. 7. Mindy and Buttons' traumatic reality. Every Mindy and Buttons segment follows the same disturbing pattern. Buttons suffers horrific injuries protecting an oblivious toddler, then gets blamed and punished by Mindy's mother. It's darkly Kafkaesque. A good dog experiencing hell in a loop with no recognition or reward. The psychological horror of this dynamic is genuinely disturbing when you think about it for more than 5 seconds. 6. The Warner siblings' dark imprisonment. The show's premise is actually horrifying. 3 sentient beings were locked in a water tower for decades because they were too chaotic for 1930s Hollywood. They were essentially imprisoned without trial for being themselves. The studio treated them like dangerous experiments rather than living creatures. This dark backstory adds unsettling subtext to every comedic escape and recapture throughout the series. 5. Wakko's burping talent's real origin. Wakko's famous burping ability came from Jess Harnell's actual talent for belching on command. During recording sessions, Harnell would casually demonstrate this skill, and writers immediately incorporated it into scripts. What began as a gross-out party trick became a defining character trait. The state capitol's song, sung entirely in burps, remains a testament to turning bodily functions into art. Harnell later admitted he'd perfected the technique during his stand-up comedy days, using it to get cheap laughs. What worked in dive bars somehow translated perfectly to children's television. The burping became so iconic that fans still requested Harnell perform it at conventions decades later. 4. The Goodfeathers' mobster accuracy. The Goodfeathers weren't just Goodfellas parodies. They featured shockingly accurate mob movie references that only organized crime film buffs would catch. Voice direction mimicked specific performances from Casino, A Bronx Tale, and obscure gangster films. Writers consulted actual Scorsese filmography for dialogue cadence. This wasn't kid-friendly content. It was a graduate-level course in mob cinema hidden inside cartoon pigeons. The pigeons' names, Bobby, Pesto, and Squid, even referenced real mob nicknames in Italian-American culture. Voice actors studied classic gangster performances frame by frame, capturing subtle inflections and mannerisms. Parents watching recognized the homages immediately, while kids just enjoyed funny birds arguing. It's sophisticated film criticism disguised as slapstick comedy. 3. Hello Nurse's problematic removal. Hello Nurse was essentially a walking objectification joke.
Hello, nurse!
Her entire character existed for Yako and Wako to ogle inappropriately. While hilarious to 90s audiences, the character aged terribly. The 2020 reboot completely eliminated her, acknowledging the original's casual sexism. Her absence proves even beloved shows can perpetuate harmful tropes. Sometimes nostalgia needs to stay in the past where it belongs. The original writers have since admitted they regret how one-dimensional she was, despite being voiced by the talented Tress MacNeille. Hello Nurse had potential for depth beyond being eye candy, but scripts never explored it. The reboot's decision sparked debate among fans. Some praised the correction, others mourned the loss. Either way, her removal forced necessary conversations about representation. 2. The Wheel of Morality's actual meaning. The Wheel of Morality wasn't random nonsense. It was satirizing FCC educational requirements for children's programming.
Wheel of morality, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the lesson that we should learn.
Networks mandated moral lessons, so Animaniacs mocked this with absurdist, meaningless morals that taught nothing. Elvis Lives On in Our Hearts isn't educational. It's mockery disguised as compliance. The Wheel exposed how ridiculous mandatory moral content requirements actually were for creative storytelling. Writers intentionally made the morals as useless as possible while technically fulfilling regulatory obligations. It became their middle finger to bureaucratic oversight, wrapped in cartoon packaging. The segment's popularity proved audiences appreciated the subversion. Kids found it funny. Adults recognized the brilliant satire. Networks couldn't complain because technically, morals were being delivered. Just completely worthless ones that satisfied the letter of the law. 1. The Writer's Room. Therapy sessions. Animaniacs' Writer's Room functioned like collective therapy for animation industry veterans. Staff channeled frustrations with studio executives, network censors, and Hollywood's dysfunction directly into scripts. Characters like Slappy and the Warners voiced genuine grievances disguised as comedy. The show became catharsis, a way for creatives to mock the system while trapped inside it. That's why it felt so authentic and rebellious. Writers would literally pitch jokes based on arguments they'd had with executives that same week. The meta-humor wasn't just clever. It was a necessary emotional release for people grinding through Hollywood's absurdity. Every jab at the suits or censorship came from real battles. The show's anarchic energy reflected genuine creative frustration channeled into art. It wasn't rebellion for rebellion's sake. It was survival through satire. From imprisoned cartoon siblings and deleted characters to mob movie dissertations and regulatory mockery, Animaniacs packed subversive genius into every frame. The show wasn't just entertainment, it was rebellion. Until next time, keep questioning authority and remember. Good night, everybody.